I have a confession to make. I've been secretly playing Destiny 2.
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
I've learned a great many things, a new perspective, a new take, if you will, a new man, so to speak, apparently free.
Congratulations.
So let's do what I've done many times on this channel before, which is talk about Destiny 2. My last real dedicated time playing Destiny 2 was in December of last year. I did a couple of videos and they weren't exactly the most positive. I finished the seasonal story and then I checked out from whatever the new content or the seasonal cycle. And for most of 2023 with Destiny, I've checked out at certain points in the season. It's not exactly been the content offerings that I've wanted. The loop and the loot hasn't really been there, and it's been a little bit of a down year, especially for Destiny. I wasn't really getting hyped to sign in, so I thought it's time to take a full-on break, and especially with the news of Final Shape being delayed and all of that other news that didn't exactly go to plan for Bungie. During my time away, I really had a chance to reflect on not just Destiny, but on content creation, and I learned a lot, which is why I decided to make this video today. Destiny has been a massive part of my life for the last 10 years, at least with the last 7 years being connected to Destiny so closely. As a player, first in D1, and then I jumped into Destiny 2 mainly as a streamer, creating over thousands of hours on stream content, then moving into the YouTube space and doing over 100 different videos, builds, weapons, updates, all that stuff, and thousands of hours of playtime. Memories, amazing moments, things that I will always cherish about Destiny. But there was a lot of frustration starting to show, a lot of bitterness and anger towards the game, but it wasn't really helpful. It was just kind of fueling the discussion around the game, and I didn't really want to be a part of that anymore because it can affect you. It can make you think a certain way, especially when you make videos like that. You can influence someone else's feeling and have a lot of negative aspects being put out into the community and just towards other people, which isn't exactly healthy. The big word that I keep coming back to attribute to all of this is fatigue. And it turns out when you play a game for 10 years, you build up quite a lot of it, especially in the last 2 years when I've been making a whole bunch of videos and the game has gone from being like a really high hype moment just going into Lightfall to being the complete opposite end of the spectrum to where we are right now. Community sentiment is not that high. Likewise, my sentiment towards the game isn't exactly that high either. Taking that time away did help me realize quite a lot of things, which should be painfully obvious, but you don't understand until you actually sit and reflect on those specific things. As I've already mentioned, disconnecting was the first part of this, pulling myself out of the cycle of Destiny, keeping up with news, updates, meta changes, weekly activities, what's the good loot, what's the bad loot, what are people going to be chasing for, different builds. And it got to a point where I just wasn't enjoying keeping up within that loop. There wasn't really any videos that I could make that really satisfied me with the game, so it was more of a content creation side of things, but the game just wasn't doing anything that was evolving or changing season on season, which is why I checked out so much last year. The best way I can describe the feeling of disconnecting for me is imagine you've been running a marathon on like a treadmill for a long period of time and you've not stopped to stretch or take on some water, take some time to breathe and understand like how far you've got left of the journey or how far you've actually come. And that's what I was able to do. Disconnecting allowed me to go, look how much of an impact Destiny has had on my channel. But also I'd realized because I was so glued into Destiny for so long when it came to content and actually playing the game week on week, I never had time for anything else. I have a huge backlog of games that I've just completely missed that I want to go back and play and talk about on my channel or even just experience for the first time. And that's purely because I was so invested. Destiny isn't supposed to be this all-encompassing game that fits every need, scratches every itch, and disconnecting allowed me to do that. And with the risk of becoming a little bit preachy, I do think there's a lot of players that have this inability to disconnect. because they're so either addicted to the game or they just don't want to play anything else, and it's that specific game, and they want Destiny to be something that it may not exactly be. To make it sound a lot like I was trapped in an internal prison, that like Bungie had me hostage, and the only way I'd be able to break free from these chains was if like I did something super drastic, and it wasn't. It was something of my own making, and it's not entirely the game's fault. And like upon saying all of this, I did realize that I still enjoy Destiny a lot. I may have only logged in a couple of hours here and there since December, and I've done a lot more in the last week. And doing this, I realized that I have a deep love for the game still. Every single time I play, the gunplay, abilities, the unique experiences with activities such as like raids and dungeons and the different nightfalls and such. And there's just certain areas that aren't perfect in the game or that have been abandoned.
Help me! Help me!
Bungie has this unique ability to blend a game together and have this unique experience. And the only thing I can describe Destiny as is it's just Destiny. That's how I describe it to most people. It's still incredibly fun. There's moments in gameplay that's super satisfying, and there's moments I've had throughout my entire playtime that I'll never forget. And I've found it hard to find a game that replicates that exact feeling outside of the original Halo trilogy, and I wonder who made those games. This isn't necessarily me trying to blow smoke up Bungie's ass for the sake of the game right now, because it's definitely not in the spot where it needs to be. The Final Shape has a lot on its shoulders, and speaking of the Final Shape, let's talk about it, because the community sentiment for the game is very low right now. There are people hyped for Final Shape, of course, but there's a lot of my friends that play regularly that have no buzz for the game whatsoever, and the game actually should have came out like 2 weeks ago, and we should have been playing the Final Shape right now, but obviously the delay, then coupled with the layoffs, has really soured my overall feeling towards the expansion, and it's quite frankly feeling rather hopeless. Granted, we are still 3 months away, and I believe Bungie will probably wrangle something together to get the player base hyped once again, as they always do, a trailer or some new content, which we'll talk about in just a moment. The way I see it at the moment, the Final Shape feels very bittersweet. I have faith that Bungie will deliver a stellar expansion, because when the chips are down, generally they do pretty well, but it feels like a true ending for a lot of players. And that's one of the main things I learned from taking this time away, to actually think about the game a lot and its future, and a lot of things to do with the overall state of Destiny after the Final Shape. It may not necessarily be the ending of the game itself, but it's the perfect time to get off the train, to look up the last stop and look back at all the memories and things that we've done and go, hey, Destiny, I'll see ya. You can ride off into the sunset and continue what you need to do. I'm going to step off here and go and do other things. The funny thing is, I could say all of this right now and Bungie could pull something off in the Final Shape or reveal something in like the next 6 months that will keep me locked in for the next few years. I'm such a sucker for that. And like episodes feel like they're going to be the seasons with their own self-contained stories. I believe it when I see it, and how well they're going to put that content out. There's no word on if there's going to be another expansion or what like the future of Destiny really looks like after this year coming up. You got Marathon on the horizon, most likely other projects as well. So I'm not sure if Bungie will have that pull to keep me as engaged as they usually do, because there'll be a lot of other games that I'm excited for. But there's always something about Destiny that will keep me coming back, and I'll maybe dip my toe in the water for a little bit rather than fully submerging. If I do decide to dip my toe back in, maybe make a video or two, enjoy my time with Destiny again, and then move on to whatever game is next in my eternal struggle to battle that backlog and keep up with all the new games that are releasing. I am extremely interested though in what Bungie has planned with this Into the Light stuff. We are getting a stream either today or tomorrow as of this video going live, depending on if I'm bringing it out on a Monday or a Tuesday. And the first of 3 streams are going to talk about the game. Maybe there's a new Horde mode, like some speculation there, some old raids coming back, and some reprised loot to get the little bit of a buzz going, to keep the community engaged for a couple of months, at least until Final Shape launches. I will say I've been wanting to make this video for a while, but I also noticed a few other creators make similar style videos. Most notably, Ascendant Nomad made a video that really helped put a lot of this video into perspective as well, and I had a lot of the same lessons that we both learned, and I definitely implore you to go and check out their video because it was also very good. And I wasn't trying to piggyback off that specific idea. I just honestly wanted to talk about Destiny, and I didn't really know how to, and not be negative, not just bash the game and feed into that negativity. I wanted to be a little bit more positive and just talk about my overall feelings and what I'd learned. So with that in mind, what have you enjoyed about Destiny 2 in the entire time you played? Are you taking a break from the game? What do you do in the meantime? Let me know in the comment section, and as always, like the video if you've enjoyed this, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content from me, and this has been It's Jimbo, and I'll see you guys next time.